All right, friends, you've heard hundreds of gurus say thoughts become things. And the more you learn, the more you grow. Well, today on my show, I've got one of the world's foremost leading authorities on learning and remembering and reading, and his name is Jim Kwik. Jim has literally worked with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, some of the biggest business titans in the world, and today he's going to lay it all out for you. So the big question is this: how is a tiny percentage of entrepreneurs blow the pack away? What are they doing that we're not? I asked myself that question for 10 years. I was failing forward and getting sick of it. I wanted to build a coaching business, but couldn't make any headway. So I started studying. I realized that the world's most elite marketers, entrepreneurs, and gurus were all using the same 4-step system. I call it the authority factor. On the show, I'm going to prove to you that the authority factor worked for them and it'll work for you. My name is Ken Dunn. Let's get started. All right, friends, welcome back to the show. And I am so excited to be here today with Mr. Jim Kwik. And friends, I know most of you know who he is already, but Jim has a fascinating background and a fascinating passion in his life. You've heard a lot of people talk lightly about the more you learn, the more you understand, the more you grow, the more you succeed. Well, Jim has unwrapped the entire science of the brain and learning and has a mission to help people around the world. Jim, thanks for dropping by today, my friend.
Ken, so good to be here.
Listen, let's jump right into it. I want to talk about the background. So you've coached some of the biggest celebrities in Hollywood, some of the biggest names in business. When you were a kid, you fell off a chair, or the chair got wiped out from underneath you, and it changed your future. You wouldn't have known it at the time. You told me a story before we got on here about an 18-year-old girl that you coached wanting to save her mother. What I want to start with is the whole business that you're in today. How important are people's ability to learn, the mindset that you're talking about? How important is that to their long-term success in business?
You know, I do believe that today, knowledge is not only power. Today, knowledge is profit. And the faster you can learn, the faster you can earn. Everybody who's joining us right now, nobody's paid purely for their brute strength. Today, it's their brain strength. It's not their muscle power. Today, it's their mind power. And the goal here, I really do believe, is that you could upgrade if you want to grow your business, if you want to grow your bank account, if you want to grow your brand or grow your book following, you have to grow your brain. Your brain is the number one wealth building device on the planet. It's your number one asset that you have. And yet, when's the last time we upgraded this technology? You think about the technology we upgrade our phones, we upgrade our apps, you might upgrade your computer. When's the last time you upgraded your mind? You know, to be able to do things like focus, concentrate, to be able to learn, to be able to absorb information, to be able to take that information, retain it, and apply it quickly. I believe an individual or an organization's ability to learn rapidly and translate that learning into action is the ultimate competitive advantage.
So, Jim, you know, a lot of people that will listen to us and have listened to you over the years, their first thought when they hear you is, you're not telling me anything new. Everybody seems to know that they need to learn.
Yes.
But the stories we hear all over and over again is that most people try to read books. They can't read. They struggle reading. They can't retain. And I think you have some practical advice around that part of the subject, because there's a lot of people that try to get into learning, but there's very few that actually succeed at it.
Yeah. I mean, entrepreneurs, your community of entrepreneurs know this. They invest in themselves because they know when they invest in themselves, that pays the most dividends. Entrepreneurs, this is actually on newsstands right now. This is the Entrepreneur magazine. It's in newsstands and airports, home delivery, and it's upgrade your brain. And this is an 8-page feature they did this month on my work, talking about how to learn faster, how to think better, how to be able to focus and enhance your focus and concentration. This is really the science and art of learning faster. A lot of people, it's a misnomer that knowledge by itself is power. You know, at best, it becomes potential power. But the truth is, all the books, the audios, the coaching, none of it really works unless we work. And a lot of people will go out there and they'll buy a book, but they won't read it, as you mentioned. It'll just sit on your shelf and becomes shelf help instead of real self-help. And one of the reasons why is we're not taught how to learn, how to be able to read that book. So one of the things we're going to talk about, at your event is the science and art of speed reading. If people ever seen me on Instagram or Facebook, Twitter with Elon Musk, with Oprah Winfrey, with Will Smith, we bonded. People always want to know, how do you connect with these individuals? We bonded actually over books, because leaders are readers. If somebody has decades of experience like yourself and you put it into a book, and somebody can sit down in a few days and read that book, they can download decades in a days. And for entrepreneurs, that's like a superpower. And so it really is strategic. These individuals that I get to coach, or these organizations like Nike and Facebook and Google, SpaceX, they're not just interested in personal growth, right? What they're interested in is the real strategies, the hardcore systems, the frameworks, if you will, for achievement, how to be able to access more of our mind's potential. And so we're going to talk about specifically how to do things like how to remember names in business. That's such an important business etiquette, the number one networking skill there is. Because how are you going to show somebody you're going to care for their future, their finances, their wellness, their family, whatever it is you have to offer them, if you don't just care enough to just remember them? For instance, I believe two of the most costly words sometimes in business are I forgot. I forgot to do it. I forgot to bring it. I forgot that conversation. I forgot that meeting. I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot that person's name. Every single time we have those thoughts, we lose credibility. We could lose a sale. We lose opportunity. We can lose time also as well. Even when I'm talking about the science and art of smart and faster reading, think about how much time we spend reading. The average person, entrepreneur, will spend about 4 or 5 hours a day just processing information. I mean, you think about social media, you think about emails, you think about newspapers and the books that you want to read 4 or 5 hours a day. If you just double your reading speed and save 2 hours a day, think about 2 hours a day over the course of a year, right? That's 730 hours. Or even if you save 1 hour a day, that's 365 hours. How many 40-hour work weeks is that? That's over 9 weeks you get back, over 2 months of productivity you get to reclaim just with something simple. So these are the kind of things we'll be sharing.
So it's funny, you in this Goalcast video I watched, you did an amazing 12-minute video presentation. Friends, if you haven't seen it, go find it. It's on YouTube. It's unbelievable. But one of the things that you got me thinking about was in my own journey. I just turned 50. And I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because I've lost focus on learning. Maybe it's time for me to really dig deeper into your stuff. But every once in a while, a name slips my mind. Every once in a while, some important fact of what I was going to do that day it escapes me. And there's a lot of people out there right now that when they hear what you're talking about, they're going to dismiss it, right? They're going to say it's an age thing. The older I get, the less likely I am to return. I can't be helped. I hope you have a rebuttal to that.
Yeah, this is I'm starting my 30th year of teaching. We have students online in 195 countries. We've been doing the top podcast in our category for years. And so we get a lot of feedback, so this has been field tested. What I could tell anybody right now, if you feel like senior moments are coming too early, if you feel distracted more than ever, your mind wanders, you can't get things done, you procrastinate, you have negative self-talk, I could tell you everybody can improve in these areas. And this is actually science. Our work has even Limitless, my book. It was endorsed by the top Alzheimer's researcher out of Harvard University, also the Cleveland Clinic Center for Brain Health, the founding director. And we know that regardless of your age, your background, your career, education level, your financial situation, your gender, your history, your IQ, everybody can improve. A lot of people, we just weren't taught. I mean, these skills were not taught in school. School is a great place to learn maybe some things on what to learn: math, history, science, Spanish. But there were 0 classes on how to learn. There was no class called focus and concentration. There was no class called memory, no class called, advanced or reading techniques or critical thinking, all the things that would have been very useful right now. Where the economy is going right now, you think about machines and how opportunities are going to machines. They're being automated. They're going for artificial intelligence. What's not going to be outsourced as easily are the things that are truly limitless. And those really are our mental superpowers. There's no limit to our ability to concentrate, to focus, to be creative, to solve problems, to human imagination. And we're going to talk about the specific strategies on how to do this, but everything is very brain based. But it's not like ivory tower. These are things that we're going to do that's absolutely fun. They're engaging, and anybody could use, regardless of your age or stage in life.
Jim, do you have a story? Like, if you think back over this 30 years, you've helped thousands of people. I would argue that and I don't know this, I'm guessing, but I would guess hundreds and hundreds of one-on-one coaching clients, some of the biggest names in business in Hollywood. Is there a story that stands out where you worked with some entrepreneur that was really at a crossroads in their business, maybe struggling, and you were able to identify the solutions to help them through your expertise? And maybe, what happened there? What was the journey you took them through, and kind of what was what did the future end up looking like because they took what you taught seriously?
Yes. So there was a gentleman that most people who are watching this would know who this individual is. And it's interesting because a lot of people who are successful, they have doubts, they sometimes have fears, they have issues, and sometimes that's what drives them to be successful. There's one individual who's very noteworthy. You've seen him, this person regularly, and this person at the base, came to me because they were just overloaded. They were overwhelmed. They have many different companies, and there's an immense amount of pressure, right? Even just going through your days nowadays, especially in the environment we're in right now, that these difficult times, we know that they could define us, they could diminish us, but they could also develop us. Ultimately we decide. But this person they couldn't get their edge back. And there's, even the more you succeed, there's this opportunity stress because people start looking at you and they expect it. Right. But sometimes as we're successful, we stop doing the things that made us successful in the first place. We start playing it safe. And regardless of where people are watching this right now, if they're struggling right now, I think people come to me because they're either, struggling and they're suffering and they just need a way to catch up, to keep up, or maybe even get ahead, or they're incredibly successful. And that's why they are, they love learning. But this person was flatlining and they're actually maybe losing a little bit ground. So we sat down and we actually mapped out, after the kind of the floodgates opened, where a lot of issues were coming up. We actually mapped out their various their projects, and their passions. And I believe clarity is power, right? And the thing is once you take things, it's kind of like, what it is? There's this story and I did about working smart versus working hard in a podcast episode, and I shot it in a power plant. And it's interesting. The story goes that one day a very, very busy power plant just shuts off. All the machinery stops, complete quiet. The employees are going around trying to figure out what's wrong. An hour passes, 2 hour passes, nothing gets fixed. The manager is freaking out, calls the technician, the local guy, and he says, "You're lucky, I'm right around the corner." Local guy shows up and he walks around the floor, for just like 2 or 3, maybe 5 minutes most. And there are all these like beams and electrical boxes on the beams. He goes to one specific beam, he goes to one specific box, and he opens it up, and inside screws, wires. He goes to one specific screw, turns it, and all of a sudden, bam, the entire power plant turns back on. The manager is like elated, is celebrating. He says, "Thank you so much. You saved the day. How much do I owe you?" And the man looks right at him and says, "That'll be $10,000. And he's like, "Are you kidding me? You were here for like not even 5 minutes. All you did was turn a screw. Give me an invoice, like break that down for me." He's like, "No problem." Reaches in the back pocket, takes out a notebook, scribbles in it, tears out a sheet of paper, shows it to him. And he says, "I understand." He goes to his desk, takes out a check, $10,000, hands it to the technician. You look at the invoice. What does it say? It says turning screw, $1. Knowing what screw to turn, $9,999. And my message for everybody here, metaphorically, whether it was this client specifically, is or somebody else that could relate to this, is not that you have a screw loose. That's not the message. The message here is twofold. Number one, knowledge today is not only power, it's profit, right? There's this growing divide. It's not even those who have and those who have not. There's a growing divide of those who know and those who just don't know. And those who know can make better decisions, right? Because our life is the sum total of all the decisions we made up to this point, right? But the other part of it is, and that's why the faster you learn, the faster you learn, I think is the number one skill for entrepreneurs. Because if you can learn how to learn everything in your life, you can apply that to
So
what?
true.
Money, marketing, management, and even your personal life, martial arts, music, Mandarin, everything in your life gets a whole lot easier. But the other lesson besides knowledge is profit and learning faster, those knowing, specifically, like having specialized knowledge is that there was one screw that turned everything else on. And what I did with this client and what I'm going to do at your event is show everybody here who joins us exactly the handful of screws that turn on your focus, that turn on your memory, that turn on your ability to make good decisions. The habits and routines of the people that I've worked with, because I believe the treasure you seek is hidden in your daily routines. Like, what are these billionaires doing, in their mind that other people simply are not doing? Right? What screws are they turning that turn on their finances, that turn on their wealth magnet, right? That turn on their brain, if you will. And so if anybody's struggling with distraction or memory loss, or they feel like they're not enough, or they can't motivate themselves, I'm going to go through and share with them the limitless model, a framework, a 3-part framework, really to become limitless. And limitless is not about being perfect. Limitless is about advancing and progressing beyond what you currently believe is possible. The biggest takeaway, though, I think everybody's going to get is a lot of people will learn a lot, but they won't apply it. Like, what's missing there? A lot of people will learn something, and then a day or two later, they'll maybe forget what they learned. And so what will make this event special, me being a memory expert, my contribution is helping that information stick so you can integrate it, right? So it's not not in ideation mode, right? You take it and you turn it in inspiration mode. Yes, you'll get some inspiration. Yes, you'll get some ideation, but the goal is implementation and integration. So my goal of coming on is to help people integrate and implement everything they've learned and also retain everything that they've learned over those few days. So that way, when the next day happens, they're ready to hit the ground running. And because all of us have had the experience where we sign up for something and we didn't use it. My goal here is to integrate it and help people to implement it. And that all starts in the human mind.
Man, I think retention is probably the biggest word that comes flying across my bow. You learn so much. Look, in today's world, especially in the middle of this pandemic that we're all stuck in, people are more than ever before in history. People are enrolling in online programs. People are enrolling in taking advice from other people. But I bet you, and perhaps you've been part of some research or you've seen this quantified, but if there was some type of research that could be done to measure the amount of retention that's actually happening, I'm fearful that it would be dreadfully low.
Yeah, the science shows that within 48 hours, just 48 hours of learning something once, we lose up to 80% of it. So, 80%, 4 out of 5 is just gone. So that they call it the forgetting curve. So there's a learning curve, but there's a forgetting curve. And so what I want to be able to do is show people simple things that they could do to retain the information and apply it. That's the most important part.
Jim, people who have gone through your trainings and have seriously applied themselves in the training, have you measured like on mass the percentage of those people that do increase? Is it I'm sure it's a large number, or would you hazard a guess at that?
Yes, I mean, with our programs, because of the way they're designed, because at a meta level, we're teaching people how to learn. So it's a program on learning, and we're actually applying and actually teaching in a way that they're going to learn their best. So we have an incredible follow-through rate with it. And that was interesting because before I even submitted my book to my publisher, I was like, will 100% of the people who read this book get the results that they're hoping for? And my honest answer was no. And then I went back and I recreated it as well as our online programs to match this limitless model, because it's not just the methods, it's also the mindset and the motivation. Meaning, everyone, think about an area where you feel stuck in your life. It could be your finances, it could be your impact, right? It could be your health, your relationship. Where do you feel like you're stuck? Where do you feel like you're in a box? And there are 3 forces, like it's 3-dimensional, right? There are 3 forces that keep you in that box. There are 3 forces that will liberate you out of that box also as well. And part of it is your mindset, your motivation, and the methods. So for example, somebody can learn a great method on SEO, on social media marketing, on investing, right? Or speed reading, memory enhancement. Let's say remembering names. But if their mindset is, I'm too old, I'm not smart enough, right? I just have a horrible memory. Your brain is like a supercomputer, and your thoughts and your self-talk is the program it will run. So if you say to yourself, I'm not good at remembering names, you will not remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your supercomputer not to, right? So your mindset, it's more than just a growth mindset even, right? These are your assumptions and attitudes about something. Your attitudes, assumptions about money, your attitudes, assumptions. It's like what I believe is possible, what I believe I'm capable of, what I believe I deserve, right? So we're going to unravel that in our session. But you can have a limitless mindset and have the most amazing methods to get that result. And you can still be stuck in that box because you're not motivated. So in our session, I'm going to show you the science to overcome procrastination. 3 simple steps to overcome procrastination so you can have a limitless motivation. So mindset is if you self-sabotage. If you take a step forward and 3 steps back, right? Because you don't believe it's possible, you have negative self-talk, you have all these doubts, right? That's why we're going to address mindset. But if you procrastinate and put things off, the things that you know you should do, you have to look at this limitless motivation formula. And I think entrepreneurs more than anybody really need to embrace this because entrepreneurs today, they're the ones that are moving the economy. They're solving the problems. You're creating the jobs, right? And who's counting on you to play at your A game right now? Who? Your family, your friends, who's counting on you? So when would now be a great time? I believe that your life is like an egg, that if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if it's broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things begin on the inside. And everyone, if they're watching this, you've self-selected. You have greatness inside of you. You have genius inside of you. And at this event, we're going to let it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Easier Life Online is an event that's created to help people succeed at higher levels. And having Jim Kwik as one of our featured speakers at this event is proving that to you, bringing you the world's top authorities, expert category experts in all of these different areas. And Jim, having you a part of this event and laying out these strategies for people, you don't succeed, you don't grow in business unless you grow your ability to learn. And I want to thank you right up front for being part of this and literally helping thousands of entrepreneurs to grow.
I can't wait, Ken. I believe that you are the greatest project you're ever going to work on. So take time, sign up, make time, create magic.
Awesome. Easier Life Online, friends. We'll see you.